Yes, Mataji.
It's come up. All right, let me check here on my screen. And yes, I do see it here. And let me put my obeisances to those who are watching us on Facebook here. All right, here we go. So, dear devotees, welcome and Happy New Year. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for making time for Krishna on a day like New Year. And we'll get started after these brief prayers to the spiritual master. Om Bhagyanatimarandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So let's get started on our verse for today, which is from the Bhagavad-gita. And what verse are we doing today?
40.
Verse number 40. Thank you for 500 points. So let's get started there and let's share it here. So let me know when you're able to see my screen, if I'm sharing it with you and if you can read it.
Which chapter, Mataji?
Mataji.
Chapter 3. You can? Okay, good. Then can you read it also?
Just
Yes,
make it a
very
little
small.
bigger, Mataji.
Very small, Mataji.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have been reading about majorly about Arjuna, right? And Arjuna had asked that question. What was the question Arjuna asked? Does anybody remember? What was the question Arjuna had asked a few verses ago to Krishna? And then Krishna goes on and tells him a lot of things.
By what?
By what?
What is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force?
Right. And what's the verse number?
36.
36. So we have to remember 3.36 is the verse, right? Arjuna had asked that question that what is it that makes us sin, as if there is some force acting on us, impelled, as if there's some force that is acting on us, right? And then Krishna came back and said, it is that dash only, Arjuna.
Lust.
Lust for 500 points. Okay, so Komal has 1,000 now. Vindhyavali, you have 500. So
Yes, Mataji. No, I'll take 500 from Shukumala Radha Mataji. It's a New Year gift, Mataji. I don't know.
Gift of giving. Gift of giving.
That's very smart. Yeah.
Give and live.
Okay, so for
Mataji, I have a small question over here that last. So if we expect a small thing, nothing that money can buy, no. That if we expect a small that information that the person will share with me and she or he didn't share. So that is also lust.
yes. Yeah. And here's the thing. Lust covers everything else. There is something that is covering our Sini Mataji. Right now?
That is not lust.
It's not lust, sure. But something is covering her and I could see her. Yeah, now we can see her. Yeah. Yeah, so desires can be gross as well as subtle, right? A gross desire will be that I want a car, I want a house. Subtle desire is I want accolades, I want praise, I want peace of mind. And I want others to share their secrets with me. That's also a subtle desire, right? Anything which is not, connected to Krishna becomes a material desire. If you wanted that person to share something with you, like share what problems they're facing in devotional service, then that's a genuine, that's a genuine thing. And sometimes, Krishna hides these things from us. Somebody didn't share something with you, did not tell, and that's fine. Just say that, okay, I was not provided with information. Krishna has a plan. Not to know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good not to know, right?
Instead of seeing the negative point of that, you should think about the positive way.
Think about the positive, think about the positive, right? Sometimes you know that there are a parent could be indulging in not approved things to earn money for the family, and the children don't know about it. So they don't know about it, so they are happy, and they might hold the parent in a large, in high estimate that they are good. They take care of me, they love me, they do everything a parent's supposed to do, except for they don't know that the parent is getting money from dubious means, right? But if they were to know, then their life becomes miserable. So sometimes knowledge, that's why Krishna says that I bring you knowledge, I bring you remembrance, and I bring you forgetfulness. Forgetfulness is also very important, not to know certain things like that. So it's very important. So just keep it, and it's such a nice thing. I was just thinking about it actually a couple of days ago, that we always are in this habit of questioning, trying to correct other people, making sure that our will prevails, right? And then of course our will never prevail. It's always Krishna's will that prevails, and then we get upset and with things like that. And instead of that, if we just take like, okay, fine, this happened to me, it was Krishna's will, let's just move on. I wanted this thing badly, I didn't get it, Krishna's will, let me just move on. There must be something good in me for from that. And that brings you so much of peace of mind. And Krishna says to Arjuna in chapter number 2 that without peace, where can there be happiness? And happiness is what Arjuna was seeking, right? In the chapter number 1, he was just saying, how will we enjoy? How will we be happy if I kill my grandfather, if I kill my teacher, if I do this, if I do that? So, yeah, but good question and good observation there. Yeah, so Krishna says that it is lust only, Arjuna, that goes and covers. And I wish Darshana Mataji was here. There was a death in her family, so she's kind of, for the couple of days, she's not at her home. And I think her father, sisters, mother-in-law passed away. So, so then Krishna says it is lust only, Arjuna, and he says that lust covers everything, right? And one of the things that I said was that, Krishna has been emphasizing a lot on things being covered. And if things are covered, you can't see. Like we could not see Simi Mataji because she covered her camera with something small, right? She must have just put something small. Like, if I put this finger, with just one finger, I put it on the camera and I disappear from your vision, like that. So when there is a covering, you're not able to see. And then he says that, and then he gives an example of, how much can it cover me? Right? If something is covering me, how much can it cover me? And then he gave 3 degrees to which it can cover, right?
Different degrees of lust. Like fire is covered by smoke, and mirror
is covered by dust. Ambre is covered by
Embryo is covered by what?
The womb.
By the womb, right? So 1,000 to Vindhyavali Mataji, 500 to Sukomal, and of course Sutapa is going to take all of them. She's going to beg you.
No, Mataji, I said the womb, so I will get 500.
You also get 500, okay. Yes. Otherwise, begging is a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you give me an example of begging from our Shastras? A pastime of begging?
Ashwadhama. He begged
Ashwadhama? What did he beg, Ashwadhama?
No, he didn't beg. I'm sorry. Arjuna prayed Krishna, but he didn't beg it though.
Praying is not begging. Somebody begged her. Kutti, small. Vamana.
He asked 3 steps of land.
Yeah, he just said that I want only precepts, and he goes there for begging. Right, so Krishna cheated, and that's something for some other time to talk about that pastime. But yeah, begging is good. Then if you beg from other devotees, what can you beg from other devotees?
Mataji, first we can ask for their association or the good qualities, not begging, but
that is
like,
wishing, right? You can wish for the good qualities, yeah. But what you can beg for the mercy, right?
Yeah.
Mercy, blessings, help, support, yeah. And why we are begging? Because through begging, you can get things that you don't deserve. That's the difference. That's something positive about begging, right? Because if I don't have the capabilities to earn 100 rupees, I will never be able to do it. But if I go and beg, somebody who has got a lot of money can give me just like that, right? So that's why we're always begging of Krishna also. You're always begging, and mercy actually means that when you get things without deserving them, that exactly is the meaning of mercy. And that's the meaning of grace, that I'm not even capable of doing this, but you, Krishna, please give it to me. So I'm not capable of concentrating my mind on you, but Krishna, you please put your kripa kataks, your sideway glance on me, and then you bless me.
I'm begging every day for my granddaughters.
Like that, you see. So we beg because we don't have things are not in our hands, right?
Mataji, would begging and mercy be the same then?
And mercy, well, mercy is a result of begging, could be, but there is causeless mercy also. Krishna can just be merciful on you, and then the doers are different. Begging is done by you, and mercy comes from Krishna or comes from the others. Right, so the actors are different. The two involved in that exchange, but they are two different people, right? I mean, same, yeah. I mean, for the same begging, you can't be the mercy giving person. Also, it has to come from outside of us.
But all the time, Mataji, ego is coming in front of us. If
Yes.
we go for the way.
Yes. Yeah. And it is. Yeah, and our ego has to be busted, right? So can you give me some example of ego being busted from our scriptures? Krishna wanted to bust somebody's ego.
Duryodhana.
When somebody started thinking that Krishna is dancing with me, I'm so beautiful.
Oh.
Radharani is...
Yeah, but before Radharani, whose ego he busted? The other gopis, right?
Other gopis, yeah.
The gopis, he dropped them, and then he danced alone with Radha, and Radha started thinking that I am so good, he's dancing with me, and then he disappeared. Right? So yes, so ego comes in the way. Can come in a way, and Krishna does to finish off that that ego. Yeah. Like that, yeah. Yeah. So good. So let's get going. So Krishna said that it is lust, and then he gave the 3 degrees to the lust to which we are covered, and the knowledge is covered. And then he also said that even the jnanis are covered by it. Right? Even if you have all the knowledge, that doesn't mean that I have memorized all the 18 chapters of Bhagavad-gita, so lust is not going to hit me.
Oh, no.
It can hit anybody. You can be caught unawares.
Yeah.
Right? So it's very, very strong. So let's go and continue reading from our chapter here on what Krishna has to continue on this avarana or this curtain that is falling on us. So let's see here, sharing one more time. So if lust is covering, then where is it covering? I have got this body, where is it covering? Which part of my body? So, Indriyani mano buddhi Asyadhishtanam uchyate eter vimohayatyesha jnanam avritya dehinam indriyani manobuddhir asyadhishtanam uchyate eter vimohayatyesha jnanam avritya dehinam indriyani manobuddhir asyadhishtanam uchyate eter vimohayatyesha Jnanamavritya dehinam. Indriyani, the senses. Manaha, the mind. Buddhihi, the intelligence. Asya, of this. Of this means of this lust. Adhishtanam, sitting place. Uchyate is called. Etahi, by all these. Vimohayati, bewilders. Eshaha, this lust. Jnanam, knowledge. Avritya, covering, dehinam, of the embodied. The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. So what are the three sitting places of the lust?
The senses, mind, and intelligence.
Senses, mind, and intelligence. And then through them, the lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. Right? Bewilders him. Okay. So let's look at this verse again. Indriyani manobuddhir, and let's look at the Sanskrit here. So the senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places. Okay. And what is sitting places in Sanskrit?
Adhishtanam.
Adhishtanam. Okay. Adhishtanam. So there are the sitting places of this lust, which is kama, right? You know that from previous verses. So where does it sit? It sits there. Okay. All right. And then it covers three things. So can you give me the Sanskrit for the three things that it covers?
Indriyani,
Mano, and
Buddhi.
And buddhi, right? So three things get covered by the mind. So this asya here is lust because he's talking about lust in the previous verses. So asya means this, and so more as a synonym, asya means this lust, right? And so it is set in place. This is said. It is said that these are the three places where they sit. And then what do they do when they sit there in these three places? What do they do?
They bewilder you.
bewilder.
Covers the original knowledge.
Right. It covers the original knowledge of the entity and then bewilders them. Okay. So, purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The enemy has captured different strategic positions in the body of the conditioned soul. And therefore, Lord Krishna is giving him hints of those places so that one who wants to conquer the enemy may know where he can be found. Mind is the center of all activities of the senses. And thus, when we hear about sense objects in the mind, the mind generally becomes a reservoir of all ideas of sense gratification. And as a result, the mind and the senses become a repositories of lust. Next, the intelligence department becomes the capital of such lustful propensities. Intelligence is the immediate next door neighbor of the spirit soul. Lusty intelligence influences the spirit soul to acquire the false ego and identify itself with matter, and thus with the mind and senses. The spirit soul becomes addicted to enjoying the material senses and mistakes this as true happiness. This false identification of the spirit soul is very nicely explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:84-13. Yasyatma buddhi kunupe tridhatuke swadhiha kalatradi bhama ijyadihi yatirtha buddhihi salilena karhichich jane shwabhikyeshu saeva ghokaraha. A human being who identifies this body made of three elements with his self, who considers the byproducts of the body to be his kinsmen, who considers the land of birth worshipable, and who goes to the place of pilgrimage simply to take a bath rather than meet men of transcendental knowledge there, is to be considered like an ass or a cow. Oh, that's it. Okay. So let's go now and talk about this verse. So key points from here that struck your mind from the verse as well as from what Prabhupada mentions in the translation, in the purport, sorry. Anything that comes to your mind?
Lord Krishna is giving us a hint of where you, if you want to conquer the enemy, where you should concentrate your mind on, like if you want to conquer.
Approach, okay.
Mataji, there is a line that all lustful the intelligence department becomes the capital of such lustful propensities.
Mm-hmm. And whose next door neighbor is intelligence?
The mind.
Mind.
Okay, who are the two neighbors?
Spirit soul?
No, mind and senses.
Spirit soul.
Yeah, so if there's intelligence, it's got two neighbors, one on the left, one on the right. Or one below, one above and one below.
The soul is above the intelligence.
Right. And then below?
So
below the
mind.
intelligence is mind, right? So it's got two neighbors. There's mind and there is the soul. Intelligence has got two neighbors there, right? So interesting thing that it talked about is that adhishthanam word was used, right? What is the meaning of adhishthanam?
Sitting place.
It is a sitting place, right? Yeah. So sitting place is then, it's the sitting place. So it's a very interesting thing that, you know, if a person is standing and if you push them, then they will fall, right? But if they're sitting, then it's a little bit difficult to push them, right? Right? Because when they're standing, they're just on it's just the foot is touching the earth. But when they're sitting down, there's a large more area that is there in contact with earth, right? So they are more secure. So here they're saying sitting place. They're sitting there. It's difficult to push them out, right? So adhishthanam. Adhishthanam comes from the word sthapana. You have put them sthapit, right? So where else do you hear the word, you know, sthapana in life? Sthapana.
Like when a temple is built or a house is built, that's called a sthapana.
Deity.
Yeah, the deity, yes. Adhishthanam, you do that, right? For the deities. And then once you do the adhishthanam, you don't move the deities from there, right? Right? Unless you have to move them, if a temple is moving or something like there are prayers, etc. that you do, right? And so adhishthanam is that they are there and they will not move. Or it is very difficult to dislodge them from that place, right? So, and here it's that Krishna is giving him a hint. It's a hint that, you know, okay, I've told you about lust. I've told you what lust does, right? And how lust is going to cover you to different degrees. So why I'm going to tell you is that lust is our important enemy. How, right? We also read that this is an enemy. And what kind of enemy? It's all devouring enemy. And how does it come? It's the worst kind of enemy. And why is it the worst kind of, right? Why is it a worst kind of enemy? Because it comes in the form of a friend. That's the worst enemy because you're unguarded. You know, if an enemy is coming at you, then you are fine. You will think that, okay, you know, he's an enemy now. I should take cover. I should take care of me. I should also have a gun. All kinds of defense mechanisms you will do. But then this one comes as a friend where we put down all our reserves. And so this kind of a technique is used a lot in war where there are spies, right? Especially female spies, right? They come as form of beautiful women. They are so much in love with you and you tell them everything, right? They're so sweet talking. They'll very sweetly get all the secrets out, military secrets out of you, right? It's happened from time immemorial. People have used this strategic thing, right? So we see this right in the beginning in the first chapter of Bhagavad-gita itself, right? When Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjay that what did the sons of Pandava and what did the Kauravas do, right? Gurus do. And then he says that Dishva tu Pandavanikam Vyudham Duryodhanastada. So then Duryodhan is first looking at the military phalanx arranged by the Pandavas. So he first goes and starts to see where are they, and what is a military phalanx, right? What is a Chakravyuh? So Chakravyuh is just a sort of a arrangement that you'll make of, putting your elephants and your horses and your chariots and your, the normal warriors. You'll put them in such a situation, each in a particular position, which is adhishthanam. They will all be put in a particular position and they will be difficult to move, right? So they put them in what is known as strategic positions. And so he goes and he looks first, tries to see where the Pandavas are, because now he's going to say, oh, so in the front is, somebody who's helping them. And so I know, okay, this person is there. So if I send, Mr. A from my army, he'll definitely be defeated because he's not as good as that one. So let me send B, because I think B can fight with that person strategically positioned. So he has to do that military strategy in his head. So he has to do that. And he does that. He looks at that. And then, of course, he sees Dhrishtadyumna there, right? Virat, so he sees Akashiraj. He sees all those big people who are there on the sides of the Pandavas. And then he immediately sees Dhrishtadyumna and he gets alarmed. And why does he get alarmed? Because he knows that Dhrishtadyumna is a sworn enemy of Dronacharya. And this Dhrishtadyumna was actually born from the prayers of his father, from the prayers of his father Drupad. He prayed that, please give me a son who's going to kill Dronacharya. And so Dhrishtadyumna was born. And look at this. Then Dhrishtadyumna goes to Dronacharya to learn military art from him. And look at Dronacharya, he agrees to teach him. And knowing that he's going to kill me, everybody knew that he was born, but still he comes to learn, and he gets, those were the teachers of those days, right? So he goes there, he gives them this thing, to this military training to Dhrishtadyumna. And then Dhrishtadyumna is there and he sees that now Dronacharya is on the sides of the Kauravas. And so now he's just thinking that he's reminding his teacher. He's saying, like, look at that, Dhrishtadyumna is there, and he's arranged that military phalanx. So he's kind of just like, you taught him to do that. He's arranged this military phalanx, but now remember, he's going to kill you. So you better fight hard and don't let him kill you. So he's doing that. But the key point to note from here is that Duryodhana was looking at the strategic positions of the army and who all are there to combat in the war, right? And then after he says that and says all that to his teacher, then he also talks about, that, wow, that's all fine. But then, Naika Mamasanyasya Sangyartam Tam Brahmimite. He says that, okay, now I'm going to tell you who all are in my side. So now he's gathered information about all the enemies who are outside. And now he's saying, okay, let me see what are my strong points. Right. And then he lists out all these people are there, they're ready to lay down their lives, and aparyaptam, paryaptam, he says all that, right? I've got so many akshahanis. I think Pandavas only had 7 akshahanis and Kauravas had 13 or 14, like that. So they were much bigger in numbers. So he's doing all that strategic calculations there, so to go and win the war. And then in the 11th verse from the first chapter, he goes and says, Anayeshu cha sarveshu yatha bhagam vyavastita bhishmeva bhirakshantu bhavantu sarva evahi. So ayaneshu cha sarveshu. So there the word ayaneshu is described as ayan, strategic positions. So then he's saying like, oh, okay, now all my people in my army, whether you are ayaneshu, that is you are situated in strategic position in my phalanx, in my view, my side of the army. I have also arranged my army. So Ayaneshu cha sarveshu. Sarveshu means or any other position, non-strategic position. So he says, Ayaneshu sarveshu yatha bhagam avasita. Wherever you are situated, Bhishma Beva Virakshantu, you have to take care of Bhishma Dev. Right? And so Duryodhana is so diplomatic. I mean, in that one sentence, he has said so many things that you can sit and analyze it for a month and discuss it for a month. Right? His statements. So so he's saying, okay, everybody who are situated there, you have to take care of, Bhishma Veva Virakshantu. You have to take care and you have to protect Bhishma Dev. Why do you have to protect Bhishma Deva? Right? He's your great grandsire. So again, he's saying that, he's old, he's weak. Right? So he can fall prey. And then he also knew that Bhishma Deva, Bhishma Pitama actually loved the Pandavas more. So he knows that in his heart is not on the side of the Kauravas, although his body was on the side of the Kauravas. His heart was on the side of the Pandavas. And he's a Krishna Bhakta, right? So he says, Yata Bhaga Bhishma, then he'll do that, right? And then, Bhishma Dev is listening to all this, and then he knows that, okay, now he's getting a little flimsy that, I have got old people on my side, but of course, he's also my brother's son. So let me just do that. Then, Kuru Vidya Pitamaha, Singanadam Mudachyate, Shankar Dharma Pratapama. So then Bhishma Deva takes out his conch shell and blows it very, very strongly. Right? So remember 3 things from the first chapter, that first Duryodhana went and looked at his army, then he started to look at his own strength, right? And then an old man there, he blew his conch shell to give support to Duryodhana and to give him some moral support that, well, you are thinking that I am old, but see, this is how I blow my conch shell, that, even the animals hear that and they're going to run away. So you have got a very powerful warrior on side. Don't feel bad about it, my dear nephew. Let's fight like that. So this strategic location is very, very important, in a war. And well, that was war. But then again, remember that we are on a war every day. Mahabharata was there for 18 days. For us, it's the whole lifetime, all the hundreds of years that you live. You're fighting with your desires, you're fighting with the sinful tendency, we are fighting with the urges of the senses, we are fighting all the time, right? What to talk about others from outside? What the fight is going on inside. And that is why I was saying the other day that in Kali Yuga, the fights used to happen, but they were, with people living in 2 different planetary systems, the Devtas and the Danavas, they used to fight. Right. And then in the next yuga that fight happens between 2 different countries, Sri Lanka and India, they're fighting Ravan and Ramchandra. And then in the Dwapar Yuga, it happens within the same country, right? Inside India and in the same family between Pandavas and Kauravas. And now Kali Yuga comes, the fight is happening within the same family. So brothers are fighting, father and son are fighting, wife and husband are fighting, like that. Or even worse, the fighting goes inside us all the time. Because there are so much of attraction which is there outside for us, right? So in this fight, we need to know. Where my enemy is located. Because if you don't know where number 1 is, his enemy comes as a friend. So that itself is bad, right? And then, it's difficult for me to know where the enemy is. So you go here, the enemy disappears. You go there, the enemy disappears, right? So how do you even locate? So it's very important to know Adhisthaya, where is the enemy situated? And sometimes, when the doctors are performing an operation, somebody has got, they call it a mouse. It looks like a cancer, but it's not exactly cancer. It's benign mouse. So, so there's a lump that you feel somewhere on the shoulder. And, you take an X-ray, it shows up on the X-ray there, and the doctors are like, all right, fine, we're going to cut it open and take it out. And so when you cut it, it's liquated here, Adhisthaya, it is here, right? And when the surgeon cuts it open, what this mouse does? It moves inside the body. And the surgeon has to keep on moving and keep on cutting. So like that, so, the mouse will move and then enemy like that. So it's very important for us to know where the enemy is and also that the enemy should not move, right? I mean, so many times we see in the war movies, right? Especially Mahabharata war, where they were showing all kinds of gimmicks. Or the other wars also where they show all kinds of gimmicks in how people fight, right? So they are fighting, and then suddenly this person will say some mantra and he's gone up somewhere and you can't see. Or he creates a big cloud around him and now you can't see where the enemy is. Why? Because the enemy has covered you by that cloud of smoke. Right? So this is what these enemies also do to us. And what were the 3 places where these enemies are located?
Intelligence, mind, and...
Intelligence, and the?
Senses.
Mind and
right. So now we were saying that they are located there. And what do they do to our knowledge?
Covered.
They cover our knowledge, right? So here's the question that, what does it mean? What does it mean to cover our knowledge?
Mataji, at that moment,
Sometimes
we forget. Okay, Vashana Mataji, go ahead. Means, Mataji, that moment we forget what we have learned or what is right or wrong, everything.
Okay.
The judgmental power is lost at that moment.
The power to judge is lost, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it Maya?
Is it Maya? No, Maya covers it. That is right. Maya covers it. But I was asking, like, when we say that avarana, right? Avarana, he's using the word avarana so many times.
False.
Right?
Mataji,
Go ahead.
greed. Sometimes the greed also covers our intelligence, because to understand, to face, these days, many scams are happening, and they tell you, we have just sent you the OTP, please give us the OTP. And within no time, Mataji, your bank balance is out.
A very good point and a very good example. I will tie it to something I'm going to explain later.
Yeah.
To explain later that what is greed. Okay, I'll talk about that and it'll tie up with that. So I was here asking about, like, what is it that covers your knowledge, and what is that? And I was asking not what covers your knowledge, but I was asking what exactly does it mean when we say that my knowledge is covered?
That means we are blinded. Temporarily, we are blinded by it.
So what is blinded? What does blinding mean? So Sutapa said that,
Ego.
It's like, Mataji, when we...
Sorry.
No, Sumi Mataji, go ahead, please.
So, our ability to make a proper decision is lost or something?
Good. Yeah, good thoughts. And I'll just tie them together and present them, right? So when we say that our knowledge is covered, two things happen to our knowledge, right?
Illusion, Mataji.
So coming to that, so when we talk about knowledge, right? So from where does knowledge come?
From mind.
How do you gain knowledge?
Mind? No.
From your intelligence.
Intelligence.
Intellect.
Okay, let me put it. Let me explain a little bit. So describe an apple to me.
Huh?
What?
Describe an apple. The fruit, apple fruit. Describe it to me.
It's red, it's oval.
Yeah, give me the knowledge about an apple. It's red, it's oval. Okay.
So it comes from the
stamp.
senses.
Eyes, mother.
No,
Different
apple.
colors.
Like eyes.
It keeps the doctor away, an apple a day.
Okay. All right.
And
What
it
else?
comes with different
It's
colors.
sweet.
It comes in
Sometimes
different
it's
color.
sweet.
It is sweet,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So this is knowledge about apple, right? So how did you get that knowledge about? How does one get this knowledge about apple?
It's from
When
the
we
senses.
use it, when we cut it, we come to know there is a seed also, and this seed can produce so many other apples also. So that knowledge
Okay. How
comes
did you get
when
the
we
knowledge?
cut it
By
and
looking
use
at
it.
By looking at the seed, how did you get the knowledge?
Senses, mother, sense. Sense.
We cut
Okay,
it,
let's
use it.
go back. Okay, let's go back and find the answer. So you gave me knowledge about an apple, right? And let's take each piece of knowledge, right? So what was the first piece of knowledge that you gave me about apple?
It's red.
It's red. Okay. How do you get that knowledge?
By looking at it.
Seeing.
By looking.
Okay.
Senses.
Always by looking.
Senses.
Always by
Senses.
looking. Always
Yeah,
by looking.
looking, and then shape is touching.
No, the red color. Let's look at color. You gave me color as a property of apple, right? So red color, that apple is red, you get by looking at it. And is that the only way that you acquire this knowledge about apple, that it is red?
Yeah.
It's also like once we have looked, it's in our memory that it is red.
Oh, okay, so you looked it, but it was still looking. Is there any other way that you can know that apple is red in color?
Yeah, somebody.
Mind, mother.
You're told.
You are told, exactly. And when people tell you something, how do you acquire the knowledge? What sense do you use? You told me senses this time. What sense do you use?
Listening.
Intelligence.
Memory.
Intellect.
Yeah.
Which sense do you use? Right now I'm speaking to you. What sense are you using?
Verbal.
Same.
Oral.
Your
Auditory.
sense, you have 5 senses.
No, Mataji, listening.
Listening, exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Shravanam,
Listen,
Shravanam.
which sense do you use? What is that sense? Sense of listening.
Ears,
What's the sense
ears,
organ? Ears, right? So
ears.
you can gather knowledge about an apple, the color of the apple in 2 ways, through your eyes and also through your ears.
Yeah.
So that is one, right? Another property you gave, what was another property?
Taste.
That it's oval.
Yeah, okay.
And
It is oval, how do you know?
Touching.
Nice.
Okay,
looking.
touching. Okay,
Again,
and
eyes looking.
Looking.
looking. And third?
Again, the same telling. Like
Telling. Somebody can tell you, right? Yeah. So you are getting that information. Then what was the third property you gave me about apple?
Tasting.
Sweet.
Taste. Okay, so how will you know?
Tongue.
From your tongue.
Experience and listening.
Right?
Listening
Right.
also.
There you go. Yeah, you taste it and you can listen it. Right? Can you look at it and tell?
No.
No, you can't, right? Okay. And then you cut it open and then you find seeds inside it. Now that seed is going to give more apple. How do you get to know that?
Listening.
Thus we are being told about it.
Told,
The
told.
seed may be
That's
so
right. Yeah.
ideal.
Or you read it in a book and you have faith and you get to know the information, right? So you see these senses that are there, what are they doing? They are knowledge acquiring senses. Right?
Yeah.
We have been using the word knowledge acquiring senses, right? These are knowledge acquiring senses. They are gathering knowledge for you. Right? So the covering of the knowledge, when the knowledge is being covered, what exactly does mean? That we lose the ability to gather the right information. Why? Because lust is sitting on our senses. Adhisthaya, right? So 3 strategic positions they said. So the first position where lust is situated is in your senses. Now, what does it mean? What does it mean that there's lust sitting in my eyes? Right? So senses.
It
So
tempts, Mataji.
yeah. So it's sometimes we might just think that, if you go and pick up any science book on how the eye works, the human eye works, right? So they will say there is a
Retina.
retina comes back, right? In the front first, there is this pupil and there is a hole called the iris. And from the image, the rays of light go inside your eyes. And then there's a lens which inverts it. And that image falls on your retina. And behind the retina, there's an optic nerve that carries it to the brain. And somewhere over there, the image gets flipped, right? And you see the right image. That is how they're explaining, right? So then, so they present it as if it's a neutral thing in the sense or a passive activity of the eye. The seeing is a passive activity in the sense that, I'm sitting here and light is somehow falling and on me and I can see Vindhyavali Mataji's picture on my retina, right? And then I am able to know that she's standing in front of me or sitting in front of me. But our Shastras don't tell us that. Of course, all this example, lens and retina and all that, that's fine. It is there. It's in the gross body. But what they're saying is that these senses actually are reaching out. They are reaching out by themselves.
Oh.
So when you enter a room which is full of, men and women, it depends on who you are and what you like to see. So there's this very famous story of Akbar and Birbal, which I mentioned last time, but I'm going to repeat it again here. It's such a powerful story. And it was that, Akbar asked Birbal, and Birbal, Raja Birbal was a very wise man. He was one of the 9 gems in the court of Akbar. So Akbar asked him that, so when do we get rid of this lust? I don't know, maybe they were discussing Bhagavad-gita. And so when do we get rid of this lust? And he says it never goes away, even till and he was talking lust in the way the general word use it. I mean, here in the Shastras, we're using lust to mean desires, right? But he was talking lust as in passion, relationship, man, women, like that. So he said never goes away even when you're old. He said, no, come on, I don't believe it. It's a young thing to be attracted to a woman. You have to be like that. You're youth or, maybe a little bit advanced, but not to old men, not to partners. You said, okay, fine. Then people always used to say, okay, at the right time, I'll give you the right answer. And then one day, a very old person in their, in their kingdom was going to die, like 90 plus person. And so then Birbal says, okay, you know that Mr. X and X, he's going to leave his body. So why don't you come? And let's bid him farewell. So Akbar says, okay, fine, I'll come over. And then he says, okay, bring your daughter also with you, like a 16, 17 years old daughter. And so Akbar brings her daughter, and then they both, he and the daughter, and then Birbal, they all go to visit that man. And this old man is on his bed and, ready to die. And then all the three of them enter. So he's not even saying that, this is Akbar, please get a chair, please get, Birbal, okay, like that. He turns to his people and others who are beside by his bedside. He says, who is that girl? Right? So how come his eyes did not see Birbal and Akbar?
She's different from you.
Right?
This is what he wanted to say.
This is what it means when it says that lust is your senses is the sitting place of your lust. That is what it means. That is why our biggest enemies is our senses, which includes the mind. The mind comes a little later. On the front, so if you were to look at the military phalanx that has been created in this material body, the military arrangement that Maya has made for you, right? So this body is our biggest enemy, right? It gives, if not used properly, right? It's the biggest enemy. So here, senses, right? So the eyes are actively looking out. Like if a girl is looking for, for suitable marriageable age, and she's looking for a young, other boys that she can marry. Like if she enters a temple, what will she see? Boys.
The boys.
Similarly, boys will see girls, right? A devotee will see Krishna. So you see, that's why you have temple romances. Like that. So this is what, Krishna is telling him that, so what happens is that your knowledge, the knowledge you are going to acquire by going to, the whatever right or full or complete knowledge that you're going to acquire, that gets smudged and that gets filtered. And the senses are only going to give you the lusty part of them. Who is this 17-year-old girl? Right? They're only seeing that. Where is physics gone? Where is the optic nerve? Where is the sunlight beams that are entering through your iris and going inside your retina? All that is gone. Something is superior than the senses, right? So this is what happened. So the first thing that it happens is that you lose your ability to gather the right information. You lose that ability, right? And the second thing,
your ability to, Mataji, you lose
gather,
your ability to
gather the right
because of our senses.
Yes, because lust resides in your senses. So the senses are always reaching out. So remember, senses are not innocent. Senses are not passive. Senses are very active and they reach out. And I gave the example last time of like a cell phone is always looking for a signal. Like, why is it looking for a signal? Is this girl going to smile at me or not? If she smiles, then I'll take the next step. Similarly here also, right? So they are looking for objects. And then there is a, I like it, I don't like it, I like it, I don't like it. So they're looking for things. So they don't give you the right. They don't give you, they cover you. And they don't let you take the right knowledge that you would have wanted. I went to the temple to see Krishna. I don't know how I met this boy and now, whatever. Somebody might think, right? So number one. And the second is that after you acquire knowledge, right? So lot of knowledge people can acquire. Vishwamitra had also acquired knowledge. Then you had mentioned that you said that you are helpless or something like that. One of you mentioned here. So I would summarize that as number two, when your knowledge is covered, number one, you don't get the right knowledge. And number two, even if you get the right knowledge, you're not able to apply it. So Krishna says in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, Jnana Vijnana Sahitam Yad Gyatva Mokshaye Subhat. So it's not just Jnana that you need. Jnana is knowledge and Vijnana is when you apply that knowledge. right? So Vishwamitra knew very well that, okay, fine, stay away from ladies. Let's go there somewhere alone and let's pray. And he was doing that. But then one sense which was still there, the sense of hearing. Here's what? Twinkle of the ankle bells. And he gets that. And in a very nice a movie that was created on the Shakuntala and not Shakuntala, Menka and Vishwamitra story. And so when finally Indra calls Menka back and says, come on back. And she leaves her daughter Shakuntala there. And Vishwamitra is very angry at that. He says, stay back. And she says, I won't stay back. Indra is calling me. I will go back. And so he gets very angry. And there was a very nice dialogue that they put in which Vishwamitra said that you don't think that it was because of your beauty that I got attracted to you. And I left my prayers and my tapasya and I left and I came and wasted so many years with you. Don't get that to your head that because you were beautiful, you were able to break my tapasya. Don't think, because she says, Indra had sent me to break your tapasya. So he says, don't think that it was because of you. The reason my tapasya was broken was because of my lust. Because if he was not lusty, Menka couldn't have done anything. Can you give me an example? Similar example from 500 years ago. And somebody tried
Ramchandra, Sri Ram.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Haridas Thakur, they tried, but he did not. You see, there was no lust in him.
Yes, Maya even Maya came in the form of a prostitute. Yeah, 2 times a day. Yeah. So you see, the cause is the lust, and not the person outside. Right. So this is a very important thing that what exactly is that is going on in your head. Right. And it's a very interesting story about a guru and a shishya. They were going, and of course, both were brahmacharis. And so they come to a river and they have to cross the river. And the water is like, up until here for these 2 tall men. And so there was a lady very helplessly standing by the side of the river. She couldn't cross the river because she's short and she can't just walk across the river. But these men were tall. So, you can have your head above and you could still be walking. So this man, the guru, he both of them, when they are going to cross this, he sees this helpless lady. So the guru picks up the lady and puts her on the head, carries her like that and walks across the river, goes to the other side of the river and drops her down, sets her down. And then they both start walking. And this the disciple is furious at this behavior. And he says that he's just thinking on it like, okay, so this is what it means. You tell me one thing and you go and do other things. You are supposed to be a brahmachari, and how dare you lift up women like that? And, she was wearing jasmine, she had jasmine flowers on her head and things like that. And, her bangles were tinkling, they were tingling and all that, tinkling, sorry. And so all those thoughts are going into his mind and he's seething with anger. And like they walk for 2 miles like that. And the guru is very quiet and both of them are quiet. And then he can't hold it any longer, so he bursts out, and then he accuses his teacher of saying that you are the debachi and you did this, and you are a fake guru, and how dare you do this, and how dare you lift that woman, and and you touched her, and for me, like I can even that smell from her, the cheap jasmine flowers are still in my nose. I can still smell her. And then the guru turns to his disciple and he says that, I just carried her across the river, my students. You are still carrying her. Right? So you see, eyes. So the lusty desires were there in the disciple. Both the disciple and the guru saw the woman, right? And guru, no effect. Picking her up, put her down, that's it, start walking, gone, finished. But she had such a strong effect on the disciple, like that, So, so these are, the senses. The senses are our biggest. So what they also do is they not only do they prevent you from getting the right information. If you get the right information, they also prevent you from applying the right information. And then let's go back and look at this verse one more time and pick up some more words from here to see what does it mean. So let me know whether you can see this. So we talked about adhishthanam, which was situated, indriyani mano buddhi. So it stays in the indriyas, it's on the mind, and it's on the buddhi, the intelligence also, right? And eter vimohayatya. Vimohayatya. What is it? Vimohayatya. What is the meaning of
Bewilders. Bewilders.
Bewilders.
it bewilders. Okay, so let's look at an example of, let's see, bewilderment. So I think I had it here. Yeah. Okay, so here what I'm sharing with you here is maybe I'll just summarize it. I won't go and read through it. I'll just summarize it in the interest of time. So there was this churning of the ocean, right? The Samundar Manthan. Who two did that churning of the ocean?
Devatas and
The Asuras and Sarvas.
Asuras and
Right. The Devatas and the Danavas, right? Asuras or the Asuras, right? And who's the father of the Suras and the Asuras?
Krishna himself.
Oh, Krishna is everybody's father. That's an easy answer. But I was looking for a more precise one. Asuras and Asuras. Okay, let's take Asura. Let's take one example of Asura. Let's take Vamana. Right? Who is Vamana's mother? Her name starts with A. A for apple. A for Astha. Aditi.
Aditi.
Okay, Aditi. All right. Aditi's husband is
Kashyap.
Kashyap. Yes, exactly. Kashyap. Very good for 500 points, right? So, father is Kashyap. So, from Aditi, all the demigods are born from Aditi. And the demigod's father is Kashyap Munu. Okay. Now, tell me, from whose womb was Hiranyakashipu born?
Diti.
Diti. Okay. And who is Diti's husband?
I was reading in, I'm on that same chapter of Bhagavatam when Hiranyakashipu was born. I'm not able to recall the Rishi name.
Okay. Well, you might not have thought about it, but Diti and Aditi are sisters, and the sisters are married to the same husband, which is Kashyap. So the Suras and Asuras come from the same father. Right? But the mothers are different. One is Aditi and one is Diti. Okay. So the Suras and the Asuras were fighting, and what did they want?
Amrit.
They wanted Amrit. So they started churning the ocean. And what was the first thing that came? From the churning of the ocean, first thing.
Venom.
The Amrit came.
Venom.
Venom, poison. Poison came. First thing that came was the poison. And who drank the poison?
Shivji.
The Asuras.
Yeah, so
Shiva.
Right? Shiva drank the poison. Where did he keep it?
The throat.
In his
In his
throat.
throat. Right? Yeah, he kept it in his throat. So that is the first thing. So you also have to remember that in any project that you have in life, the churning of the ocean was a project. And in every project, there will be difficulties. There will be problems. So even so, in your devotional, the project of devotional service, problems can come. Okay? But then problems can come. There will be devotees who will help you. Just as when the poison came, devotees came and helped. Which devotee came and helped them?
Shivji.
Shivji, right? Shivji is a devotee. Okay. So now, so then slowly other things came, right? Airavat came, right? And then the Ucheshrava, the horse came, the flying horse. And then Lakshmi came, and Lakshmi married whom?
Vishnu.
He married Vishnu. And then a dark man came out of that, from the churning, He was a dark, tall man. He was wearing very nice jewels, right? And then there was a pot in his hand, right? And that man is called what? His name?
Dhanvantri?
Dhanvantari, exactly, right? So he's Dhanvantari, and Dhanvantari is the god of
Wealth, money.
Medicine.
medicine.
Sorry,
Yeah,
medicine.
medicine. So if you go to any Ayurveda shop, you will see picture of Dhanvantari or a statue of Dhanvantari like that, right? So anyway, so Dhanvantari came and he had this pot of nectar or amrit, and then the Danavas, or the Asuras, they snatched it. They snatched it, they saw this and they snatched it, and then they wanted to drink it. And now the Suras they are, aghast. They're like, oh, how could this happen? We have been working so hard for this. And then somebody else is taking away the results. So then, because they always rely on Vishnu, so they went to Vishnu and said, what, help us, what can we do? So Vishnu said, okay, you don't fight. You don't fight, because he knew they won't be able to defeat them, right? So he said, okay, I'll take care of that. And then Vishnu comes in the form of
Mohini.
Mohini Murat.
Mohini Murat, the woman. Beautiful woman, right? And the beautiful woman comes, and then what are Asuras famous for? Running after beautiful women, right? So now this supernatural, when God himself comes as a beautiful woman, you can imagine how beautiful she would be, right? And so now she comes, she looks at the Asura starts smiling at her. And everybody is thinking, they were pretty annoyed, actually, because somebody even, equally beautiful or, almost as beautiful had come before, and that was Lakshmi. And Lakshmi had not married either the Suras or the Asuras. All the Asuras were thinking, I'll marry Lakshmi and I'll enjoy her. And Lakshmi goes and puts that flower garland on Vishnu, and then everybody is kind of like, they're angry inside. And now this Mohini Murti comes. So of course, the Danavas are all there, and everybody is saying like, okay, fine, this is even better. Let's just go. And so she smiles at them, and they smile back. She says, give me the pot. And they say, here it is. And then she says that, you know what? I will give it to both of you. I will distribute it. Sit in a line. And then they go and sit in the line. And then she says that, let me give it to the Devtas first, because they're crying. And, after that, what remains, I'll give it to you. And then they said, yes. This is called Vimohan, to be bewildered. That your senses got something, captured some piece of information, but knowing very well that what women can do, and knowing very well that she has the pot of, nectar in her hands, and knowing very well that you want the nectar, and knowing very well that you don't want the demigods to have the nectar. Still, when the lady is coming and saying, let me give the nectar to them, you're just saying, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. You can have it. I'll wait. You are in the best gentlemanly behavior. Very chivalrous. This is Vimohan. This is what is known as when your intelligence gets covered. And you're not able to, apply the intelligence that you get. Why? Because you're completely bewildered. Something from outside has gone. And why? So why did this thing happen, right? Why did this thing happen? Because you capture this knowledge from outside, beautiful women, and the mind is now bewildered what to do, because somewhere it is that it is wrong, somewhere it is that it is not to be done. But then lust is sitting there also as your friend, and lust is saying, yeah, let her have it. Yeah, you just do whatever she's saying. You just do whatever she's saying. You do it. You'll get her in the end. Promise is there. Right? So now the mind is, what is a mind? Mind is a factory of thoughts. So mind has to start creating all kinds of ideas. That, okay, so, I can go with her, I'll go there, I'll marry her, I'll go on a honeymoon, I'll have kids with her, whatever, or just enjoy her and abandon her. All these thoughts are coming, like that. Now, the next thing is that, how do you put all this into fruition? A thought has come. Mind is just a factory of thought, right? So lust is also sitting there. So you had a choice, right? eyes have captured some information, a beautiful woman, and your eyes are seeing that she's carrying away the pot of nectar, but then your mind has got two choices. One is to generate a thought that says that, shun this woman, stay away from her, kill her, and take the pot, right? But you can't kill Krishna, that's another thing, but at least a thought can come. Kill her and take the pot. And the other one is that, let her be in her good books. But because the lust is sitting in the mind, then it'll focus more on those lusty thoughts, which support your lust. And that is why in the previous verses, Krishna said, it'll come, lust will come as your friend. It will promise you good things. So saying that, just listen to her. Let her do. Didn't she promise you she'll give you also? Have patience, buddy. She'll give it to you. Right? The mind is telling you like that. But it's not a good decision. It's not good advice that the lust is making you do that. So you do that. And then what happens is intelligence. The intelligence has, you have to use intelligence to do certain things. You want to enjoy something, right? So the intelligence will come. Now, the very interesting thing is that my husband used to tell me this story about how lusty and greedy people can be. And I think who had said the word greed in the beginning of the class? Was it you, Varshana? That greed makes them do these things, right? So what happens is that this is an example of a greed. That, when you are in a high position in a company, there are many documents that you sign. And some of the documents will have to do with vendors supplying things for your office, like computers or refrigerators or anything, right? So a corrupt official will make a lot of money by favoring a particular vendor, taking money from the vendor and saying, okay, I will sign, then you can supply it to the company, but you have to first give my cut, like that. So he used to do that, my father-in-law's superior. He used to do all that. Okay. I mean, it's not okay, but, set that aside. His intelligence. So the greed is there to make money. His eyes are seeing things. What are his eyes seeing? The eyes saw that, there's a huge office that's got so many rooms in it, and the rooms have got doors, and the doors have got these bolts that you have, right? And they are made of brass. He sees brass thing, right? And then the mind is saying, planting an idea there that, maybe we can sell these. How to make money out of a brass, chitkini, or, that door latch, whatever that is. And so he ordered, other people in the company, in the office, who were in charge of the maintenance, folks, and he said that, I want you to remove all these brass ones and go and purchase aluminum ones, which are cheaper, and then sell off. Do you see how the intelligence is also working? That's the third place where the lust sits. In your senses, in your mind, and in your intelligence. And in the second chapter of Bhagavad-gita, towards the end, Krishna was telling that first your eyes will see something, then the mind will get affected, gives certain ideas on how to enjoy. Intelligence will come up with ideas on how you can do that. And then, it'll enjoy, right? If it doesn't happen, then there'll be growth. And when there is growth, then there is your intelligence is completely bewildered. And again. Right? So this is how it actually, this is how it happened, right? So I'm hearing some background sounds. Where are they coming? Can you mute yourself if you're in a noisy background? Yeah. So this is the way the three things will appear. And now what modern science has done for us is that not only it is that you see something and your mind, starts coming up with ideas. Other people also give you their ideas. And how do they give you their ideas? They give you the ideas by making a movie out of it. They'll give you an idea by making a television's thing out of it, and you go there and sit in front of the idiot box, and you get ideas from there. Sometimes I used to, when I used to watch movies, there were some, movies that where they will show how to kill people. There's some murder movies, very highly recommended to watch. Like, look at Vajo, it's a very nice plot. And then when I watched that, I was like, oh my goodness, are we not giving ideas to people to how to kill? And this is exactly what it is. When you read this verse, then you realize that this is what modern civilization and advancement in science is doing. That, and then even verses that, you put that on Facebook or you put that on internet, and then goes and affects so many other people, and they start getting those kind of ideas. Advertisement, that's what they do, right? The wrong notion, Smoking is so nice, right? I still remember when we used to go to watch movies, my mother was very strict about not watching too many movies. She would only allow us one movie a year, just one. And so we used to so when we go there, we wanted to have everything. You go into the movie, you get everything out of that 2 rupees 50 paisa that you paid for the ticket or whatever it was those days. And so in between, before the movie started and during the interval, those were 2 places when they would show advertisements. And remember, in those days in my life, there was no television. Television was not there in my city only. Forget about that. It was not there. The waves themselves would not reach. And so your only chances of these titillations were from these advertisements. I mean, you were hearing about advertisements on your radio, right? Hammam, 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 the soap. But then, the hammam ad that you saw in before the movie started, and that was like, oh, there's a lady who's, putting hammam, or a boy, a young child. And, so that was very captive. So we used to go there to watch all these trailers. And so in one of the trailers, they used to show that there's a house which is on fire, and there's a lady, she's crying because she has run out of the house, but the child is left there and she can't go because everything is burning. And in jumps, Raj Babbar, I think, he jumps there, somehow or the other, heroic act, and he brings the son, he saves the son. And then someplace else, somebody else is drowning, and then Raj Babbar jumps there. And then everybody is looking that, he stays there and he disappears. Everybody's thinking, where is he? Where is he? Where is that Devta who came and saved everybody? And then they show him, standing in a corner, after doing all this heroic act. And what is he doing? He's sitting there and he's smoking, right? And then it says, Char Minar peene walon ki baat hi kuch aur hai. Like those who smoke Charminar, they are a different breed of people. Look at that. What a wrong impression they are forming on different people's and young boys. Their eyes are seeing that movie, right? And they'll think, oh, it's smart to be smoking. And what a wrong information knowledge they are giving. I mean, if you're smoking, that too Charminar, which didn't have filters, that kind of a cigarette, if you're smoking, I don't think you'll be able to jump and do acrobatics and save people from fire. You yourself will be gasping for oxygen with that kind of a lung, right? So this is what it does. So Krishna is saying that these are the 3 places where these things reside. Adhishtharan, they have placed themselves, have bolted themselves there. And so what can you do? You have to cleanse it. Cleanse it. So if you like seeing beautiful girls, why don't you go and see the most beautiful girl? Look at Radharani, right? Like that, right? If you like to eat nice food, then eat prasadam. So that will purify our senses. Chant, hear Krishna Katha. That will purify your mind. Cheto darpana marjanam, right? Cleanse the mirror of your heart. What does it mean? That all the bad things, bad thoughts, etc. will go away. And the mind will naturally start to think about good things. So now, once these senses are tamed, then these senses will stop looking at these various objects. Now, one might just think that, why were these senses roaming in the first place? I mean, this is just an equipment, right? Right? These eyes are just an equipment. If the eye can look at DT picture also, like you are all saying, I don't go after girls, I don't go after men. What are you talking about, Shraddha Mataji? I don't do this. And yeah, I agree, you don't do it. But then what about the others who do it, right? So it's the same instrument, right? Same iris, same pupil, same optic nerve, same retina. Why is it that these senses are seeing this? What is it behind? Well, behind mind. A mind is a factory. So mind produces these thoughts. But mind produces these thoughts after you present him this, that here's a Mohini Murti, right? The mind comes into picture afterwards, right? So what is behind before that? Intelligence. Well, intelligence is only going to think that, what to do when Mohini Murti is in front of you. What should I do with this girl, right? So let's go back further. Who is there before the intelligence? Who's the next door neighbor of intelligence? We did that in the beginning of the class. You told me there are two neighbors of intelligence, right?
Soul.
Soul, yes, soul is the next door neighbor, right? So actually, this is coming from the soul. It's the desire of the soul. And you don't know. You might just think that, come on, I never desired this. I don't even know. It came forcefully on me. That's what Arjuna said the 3 verses before, right? As if impelled by somebody to do it. Somebody is making me do it. Well, it is the soul that desires. That's why they say that this material world is situated on desire. It is a desire. We don't know from which birth that desire is there. And suddenly it will surface. Look at poor Vishwamitra. He didn't have any, on the face of it, he didn't have any desires. He had left everything, his family, everything. And he was just going and, meditating. So his intentions were all clear. And how come Menka comes and messes all these things up? Because of the desire that he had. So it all starts from the desire. It gets governed over there. And Maya, as a strategic woman, she has placed these lusty desires. She'll go and place lust at these 3 strategic positions: the senses, the mind, and the intelligence. And together, they will bewilder the soul. So even after you run after Mohini Murti, then you realize that in the end, what happened? Mohini Murti did not give you any nectar. She gave all of it to the Devtas. And then you will get frustrated. So the idea of this material world is to make you frustrated. So that you get enough frustrated and say, okay, Krishna, I don't want to enjoy separately from you. I surrender to you and I will do everything. And that's when you start going for Indriyan. From Atmendriya Priti, you go to Krishnendriya Priti. Now you want to satisfy Krishna's senses. Yeah. And once you start doing that, then these same senses and the same mind will start presenting you things in the right manner. And the degree to which lust was covering you, the degree will get reduced. Okay. So the mirror, right? Is one example was given was that of a mirror, right? So mirror, what is the job of a mirror? What is a mirror supposed to do?
It gives us our
Show
clear
your picture.
What we are.
Okay, what picture, right? So and when you see the picture, then the picture is supposed to be true, right? It has to be yourself, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now there was a very interesting story I heard in one of the lectures. And it was it was a play, and just a little part of the play I'll tell you. And that is, it was about a village where the villagers had never seen a mirror. So they knew how the others looked, but they did not know how they looked. Innocent villagers, life was running fine. People got married, the wife knew how the husband looked, knew how the wife looked, so on and so forth. And then a man from a town comes there and he brings a mirror. And he puts the mirror in one person's home, right? And disappears. So the mirror is on the bed. And so the man of the house returns in the evening from the field. They were farmers. And he picks up, he sees this mirror, he has no idea. He picks it up and he sees a man there. And then he's like, oh, this is what my wife is doing. This is what happens behind my back. So he picks that mirror and he says, okay, so this is a photograph of that man that my wife is seeing. So he takes it up and he puts it in a trunk and he locks it. And then he says, okay, now I'll see I'll observe what my wife is doing. And the wife is going about the house and, nothing is happening from the wife. And he's like curious and he says, okay, maybe she took it away. Maybe she took it away. So he would open the trunk and then see and he'll say, okay, the picture is still there. Not the trunk. And then the wife got suspicious and wife is thinking, why does this man keep on opening the trunk all the time? What is inside the trunk? So she waits. And when he goes away to work, she opens the trunk. She breaks open the trunk and the lock. And she opens it and she sees the mirror. And guess what she sees there?
She sees herself. Herself.
Really she says, oh, now I know what my husband is up to. So then the play goes on about complications. Then they throw the mirror away and, then somebody else picks up the mirror. So it's a whole thing. So the duty of a mirror is to show you your true self.
True self.
Right? Like suppose you get up in the morning and you're having a bad hair day. Right? Or we went to a party. Before that, we went to one of those forever beautiful places. They did your hair. We look very beautiful in the evening. And then we come home, we go to sleep and get up in the morning and all the curls are gone. Everything is gone, right? And, there's stuff coming out of your house, eyes, nose, everything, And to go in front of the mirror and mirror says, oh, yesterday she was looking so beautiful. And if I show her how she's looking today, she's going to feel bad. So let me not do it. Let me show her the picture from yesterday. The mind doesn't do that. The mind has to show you things as it is. And that is what the Bhagavad-gita does to you. It tells you that you are the soul. So Bhagavad-gita is the real mirror. All other mirrors in this life, by way of advertisements, by way of other preachers, by way of other people, they are doing the same thing. That your hair is all bad, but they are showing you the picture from yesterday.
Mataji, I was just thinking about that story. What about rivers? Don't they have rivers in their village? They must have seen the reflection in the water.
Correct.
They were innocent people, right? Yeah. The point was not whether they could have done it or not. The point was to enjoy how the mind can work, right? Even mind can work on that. Yeah.
Those days they used to see themselves in the oil.
Oil. They'll pick up a plate and then look at it. Yeah, we like to admire ourselves, but the point is that how fun things can become so funny. Mind can go in all kinds of directions. Yeah, but so we have to remember, and that is why Bhagavad-gita also can be presented by people in so many other ways. Same thing, but you have to present it in the right manner. You have to show the mirror the right way so that people can gather the right information in the first place. So, obeisance to Srila Prabhupada for translating it as and keeping it true like that. Yeah. And yeah. So I'll stop here. We have a few more minutes to go. And any thoughts, any questions that you have, we'll take them now. And Namasya Mataji joined us, and so there's Asta, Simi, Arani, Vashana Mataji, Vidyavali Mataji, Sukumal Radhe was also there. Wow, fantastic.
Sorry, Mataji, I got late because I had many guests at home.
Okay, no problem. Yeah.
They just left. I gave them breakfast.
Yeah.
There's a lot of noise in the background.
Yeah, I don't know from where it's coming today. Is it you? Okay. Yeah.
My house guests are there. She's talking.
Okay, no problems. Yeah, you can mute yourself now. Okay, so should we call it a day on this class today? Meet again next week?
Which week, Mataji? Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes. Oh, for this class. Yeah, tomorrow we're meeting for our Bhagavad-gita recitation, definitely. Yeah. 6:30 in the morning, 8 p.m. for you, Vaishana Mataji.
So senses are the things that troubles us. Is that right, Mataji?
Well, all three of them: sense, intelligence, senses, mind, and intelligence.
Mind and intelligence.
Yeah.
All three.
Yes, and Krishna says that mind is your biggest enemy, but later on it also becomes your friend. Yeah, Atmeva Vipum Atmanam, right? So it's the biggest enemy, but then it also becomes your biggest friend when you tame it and put it in the right direction.
Yeah, because
You said 8 o'clock, no?
Sorry, one at a time.
without the mind and the senses, I mean, we wouldn't be human beings. We wouldn't be able to, function. I mean, we wouldn't be able to reason and even have this kind of discussion or anything like that. So,
yeah,
so that's what makes us, enables us to go on this journey in the first place.
Yeah. For example, look at knife. Look at the knife, right? Knife and an instrument. If you don't have knife in your life, right? If you don't have a knife in your life, then it'll be difficult, right? How will you cook? How will you chop? Right? But then my knife can also be used for other purposes. Right? Can be also used to kill. I mean, without a knife, what will a surgeon do? Can't operate. Right? So there are good and bad of both. So similarly for the mind also, it's an instrument. You can use it in this way, or you can use it in that way. And yes, the mind is more evolved in the human beings. And that is why when Krishna gives the example of how fire is covered by smoke and how mirror is covered by dust and how an embryo is covered by a womb, he's talking about the three species of life. And the human species in the human species, your knowledge is covered just like fire is covered by smoke, so that some of the functions are still there. So although we have a murky mind, we can still, still do certain things, right? Although we are housed in this material body, but we can still use this material body and pick up a Bhagavad-gita and read it. We can still do that. On the other hand, the animals, they kind of operate on the instincts more than they operate on the mind, like that, And so that is why you see, the enjoyment, the sense of enjoyment is there in, say, like a dog also. The sense of enjoyment is there in a human being also. And but the dog, when it has to enjoy the sense, it'll just enjoy, right? In the sense that it is mating period, they will mate and done. If it's not mating period, they will not mate. So there's something external that controls it. I mean, it's wired. They're wired to operate like that. So they get that quota of enjoyment. That's it. They are satisfied with that, right? So to speak. But the human being, right, is an animal that will eat when it's not hungry, will drink when it is not thirsty, and will have sex in all the seasons, right? So you see, it's using, and it'll use its mind on how to enjoy it. Animals will not do that. It's a bad mind. But a good mind, yes, good mind will now sit down and, try to understand. Good mind is reading this Bhagavad-gita and making analysis and saying, okay, these are the bad things, so I should give these up. And these are the good things. I should have prasadam. I should do service to Radharani. I should sing prayers to Krishna. I should fast. Actually, these senses are so bad and stomach is always asking for food. I should stop eating my food, like that.
So reason along those lines, I mean, things like lust can also be used in a positive way, because you need, along with love, you need lust in order to reproduce with your chosen partner, right?
Yes.
So that has its place, and it is needed as one of the products of the senses, but so long as it's in the proper place.
Engaged in Krishna's service, yeah. If you connect it to Krishna, then that's fine. As long as it is not connected to Krishna, that's where the problem goes. And how Prabhupada gives the example of this tiny spark. The soul is like a tiny spark of fire. And as long as the tiny spark stays close to the fire, it glows. As soon as the spark goes away from the fire, it is extinguished. Right? So the more we go closer to Krishna, our survival is much higher, so to speak,
So Mataji, basically it is the intelligence which enables us to discriminate between the right and the wrong.
Yes.
Good and bad.
Yeah. Exactly, right, yeah. And durbuddhi means dur. Yeah, dur is bad. So Arjuna uses that word actually in the first chapter of Bhagavad-gita. And as you go deeper into the Bhagavad-gita and start reading other chapters of Bhagavad-gita, you will come back and appreciate the first chapter, that the first chapter tells a lot of the teachings are there for you to just go and now see that, Oh, there it was like Yuddha, Dhatarashtra, Durbuddhi. He says that, I want to see the, these evil-minded self. Durbuddhi is evil-minded. So the buddhi is not, operating the right way. It is evil. I want to see these evil sons of Dhatarashtra who have, who's assembled here to fight. Arjuna says to Krishna before he tells them to put the chariot between the two in that episode. So he tells them to do that. And Durbuddhi, so Durbuddhi is a buddhi which is, stop discriminating in the proper manner. Everything which is bad is saying this is good. Mati mari gayi, they say, right? Intelligence is dead. A good intelligence will discriminate and tell you.
Mataji, this line I couldn't understand. The spirit soul becomes addicted to enjoying the material senses. So
enjoying via the material senses. Whatever the material senses are
and mistakes that this has true happiness. That's what it says.
Yeah. That's what we think, right? Eating a bar of chocolate is a happiness. You think that this is happiness, right?
Yeah.
But that is not true happiness. And why it is not true? Because if it was true, it will be everlasting. It doesn't last. So as you're eating the chocolate, well, if you're a child, as you're eating the chocolate, it'll be good. You'll be done. You'll be happy at that time. And as soon as the chocolate is finished, you start crying. So where is the happiness, right? If you're a teenager, you'll eat the chocolate. And as you're eating the chocolate, you'll be counting the calories, right? And now that your taste is also sharpened a little bit, then you'll realize that, oh, there's some sort of aftertaste. Oh, then you'll go for the artificially sweetened chocolates because, still a chocolate and still enjoy. And then while you're eating it, it's like that. It tastes a little different, but still is chocolate. And after the chocolate is finished, then you have a bad taste in your mouth that you get from artificial sweeteners, right? So this is just so-called happiness. It'll give you happiness for a short while, so-called. It'll always have its side effects. Like that.
Masaji, so coming back to, so every kind of product of the senses has its place so long as it's close to Krishna. So in that, with that reasoning, you can say that anger also has its place. So we're always told that anger is bad, but then, anger also fulfills a purpose, right?
Yes.
It can stimulate you into action. It can propel you into doing certain things that are right. I mean, you need to feel that in order to take right action, just like in war in the Mahabharata, for instance.
Yes, and it's a very, very interesting point that you bring up. And one of the famous examples that we say of anger being put into the service of Krishna is when Hanuman, he put fire to entire Lanka. But a very interesting thing, and I think I brought, maybe I didn't, but the interesting thing is, and we had said that Krodha is the younger brother of? Anger is the younger brother of lust, right? So first there is desire. And when does anger come? When the desire is not fulfilled. And so that anger is not a good use of anger, because the anger is coming that, I was not able to enjoy this ice cream. It fell down before I could eat. Now the anger is on the manufacturer or everybody, right? Under the sun, because we were not able to fulfill our desire. So that is the wrong anger. Now, the right use of anger is, when the ice cream fell down and, even if you started feeling bad about it, that, oh, I wanted to have the ice cream and it fell down. The anger comes on ourselves that, how fallen I am, that I'm lusting for an ice cream like that. So you see, that anger is the right anger. The other anger, and that anger actually will encourage your devotional service also, because now it's a reprimand for yourself. On the other hand, the first anger that I said, which was, anger coming from my not being able to fulfill my desire, that anger actually diminishes your spiritual progress. So that's why they say that anger is not good. When anger is, directed and is come towards is coming or is born because of me not being able to fulfill my sense, enjoyment, then it's a wrong anger. If I'm employing anger in the service of the Lord, then that's fine. Sometimes I've seen some brahmacharis, they're sitting somewhere and suddenly they slap themselves. I was like appalled, and I asked one of them, like, why did you smile? He said I was having bad thoughts and I thought that I should scold myself. I was like, wow, So he was very angry, but he was angry at himself, or why am I thinking? Because he knows it's a soul that is desiring. But the wrong action was like, why are you beating the body? But at least the body is sensing that. The mind will register that, okay, when the slap comes here, it is painful. The intelligence will also record that. So next time it'll know that if I think of lusty thoughts, then I get a slap in the hand and it's painful. So it'll stop doing that. So it's all algorithms of the mind. Good algorithm versus bad algorithms. So bad algorithms are when they are saying that this is going to give you pleasure. Right? You smoke a cigarette, it's going to give you pleasure. But when you are in the intensive care unit with respirators on, then you regret you did that.
Right.
Okay, so that's good. Nice session, nice turnover. Very happy to see you all, and I was very happy to see so many cameras on because I could see you then on New Year. So we will meet again tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for pronunciation of Bhagavad-gita, and then and then next week, Krishna willing, we will continue and we will do
8 o'clock, no, Mataji?
8 o'clock p.m. your time. Yeah. Okay. All right. Patitanam Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you very much, Mataji.
Thank
Thank you very much, Mataji.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.